learn how to manifest God's way.
What if you could design the life that you wanted by creating images and clear pictures of what you actually wanted and then reframing it back inside your mind? And what if your life slowly started building itself around those images? I know that kind of sounds intense, but think about it for a second, because most of us are already doing this without even realizing it. What we are picturing in our heads and the things that are happening are starting to come about, okay? And if it's not happening for you, it will. But your imagination has to be the one that controls it first, not your fears or anything else. We picture things before they happen, and we can actually imagine conversations before they actually even take place. We can also replay fears or replay hopes, replay versions of ourselves that we don't even have existing yet, and it can somehow, over time, parts of what we focus on will start to just show up, and it will become us in our life, not in a perfect, instant way, but in a slow, shaping, almost quiet way. And that's what got me really curious, but also because I started noticing something in my own life from a long time ago. But now, when I think about it, it's really not that hard. When I change how I think, I change how I show up. When I change how I show up, my life starts to shift in ways that I not only didn't imagine, but I didn't have to force. And people call that mindset. Some people call it energy, and some people call it raising your vibrations. And sometimes I call it all of it, but I don't really fight what the feeling is. And I don't stop there, because when I believe that there's a deeper source behind all of it, it gives me so much more. I know the source is God and not just the universe, and it is something that we need to kind of separate, because we can manifest through God, but He is the one who ultimately created the universe. For me, my source is God, and it's something that is not separate just from my daily life, but God as the one who actually designed how I think and how I grow and how I become the person that I am meant to be. The more that I've paid attention, the more I've realized something really important. And I don't think that we're meant to just drift through life. I think we're meant to participate in on it. Like, one of the things that I started recently doing is something as simple as just changing how I think about everything. I write out a short version of my life and the way that I want it to be in 1 to 2 years from now. I write out a short version of my life from 1 to 2 years from now, not as a fantasy or wishful thinking, but as clarity. And I write about the version of me who feels more grounded and who is already peaceful and intentional. And I write about the home that I envision myself being in and the one I want to build, the life that I'm growing into, and the kind of energy that I want to carry. And in fact, I actually write mostly about the the experience of how it feels right then, and I bring up all these things that I want to happen. And for instance, the pool and the home and the, all these different vehicles that I specifically want, because when you're specific, you give God a list of the things that you want in your life. And it's not to be like greedy, but it's to be really clear about what it is that you actually want, so that you are working with Him. It's all about the feeling of how you feel in that moment when you have it and when you're surrounded by all the beautiful things that you have been asking for. And it's about consistency, because I've also noticed when I wake up, I read it in the mornings and I also read it at night. Now I've also started to read it in the afternoon. I bring it with me if I can. I don't share the pages with other people, because this is not for me to be, you know, um, bragging about what I'm trying to manifest. In fact, you should not share everything with everyone, because Other people will have their own judgments, and vibrations and thoughts and things actually do stick to other people, and they do carry. So the less that you give other people, the more you are actually giving more to what you're trying to manifest. Okay, so what I've noticed though is it doesn't just like completely manifest the things outside of me. What it does is it changes me from the inside out, right? It shifts how I begin to think exactly in the moments that I need it, in the present moment. It shifts how I am making decisions when I'm stressed or uncertain. And it's reminding me of who I am becoming when I start to slip or forget. And I always bring it back to something that is much deeper than just visualization, because I don't believe I'm doing this alone. I know and I believe that through God, He's definitely involved in this process. But I believe that there's guidance and so much timing and so much direction that don't always make sense or that I can understand in the moment. But I have learned to just trust. And that's where my faith has really come in, because I can have a vision and I can have clarity. I can even feel deeply connected to where I'm going, but I still surrender all of it. And as it says in 1 John 5:14 through 15, this is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have what we have asked of him. Okay, that verse has changed how I move, because it reminds me that I can ask boldly, I can dream freely, and I can envision my future. But it all has to stay aligned with his will. So my prayer isn't, "Oh, God, make my life exactly what I want." My prayer more so often now has become, "God, if this aligns with you, guide it. And if it doesn't, redirect me and help me open and awaken more and help me to learn." And along the way, I've learned that's not limitation, that's alignment. Because the truth is, I still dream, I still imagine, I still get excited about what I want my life to look like. But I've stopped trying to force outcomes that were never mine to control in the first place. Okay, that's where real peace shows up, is when you stop controlling everything and start becoming the person who trusts the process while showing up fully for it. So if you're listening to this, I just want to leave you with this. You're not stuck in the life that you're in right now. The life that you're wanting to build is going to start in your mind long before it shows up in your reality. So pay attention to what you are imagining and focusing on or listening to. Pay attention to what you are feeding yourself mentally and physically, and then bring it back to something higher than yourself. Dream, visualize, grow, but stay aligned and trust that what's meant for you, it's not going to miss you. And what is actually meant for you, well, it's going to find you right where you're at, because that's the whole process, that's the whole plan, and that's becoming aligned. Once you're aligned, everything starts to just like a magnet just comes together and folds right into your life magically. And I promise you that when you start visualizing things more often, things are just going to happen more often for you because you're aligning it. Okay, keep your lamp burning bright because he is coming back. Okay, but until next time, keep feeding yourself good things and knowledge.
Stop giving love to the universe and not the creator.